So years ago, I got to help start this company, which is here in Seattle. It's called Blue Origin. And this is a spaceship company. And people think this is a crazy thing. People think this is just billionaires with their big swinging rockets. But what this really is a long-term vision for the future of humans. Now, I know it seems crazy to be thinking about what happens when Earth melts into the sun, but that's kind of, the best case scenario in the long run. So what we're really looking at is, could we come up with, if not a planet B, at least a plan B? Could we create a possibility for humanity to have trillions of humans thriving in space? And I know that sounds crazy, and you don't have to worry about that. But what's interesting about working on a project like this is you learn to think on longer time horizons. And you learn to look out a little bit into the future, and you even learn to look a little bit out into the past and see that in the long arc of time, humans do really well. We do really well because we get better and better and better. And we invent our way out of the problems that we have. And so occasionally you get a human that's, not worried about paying rent or getting their kids into college or whatever, and they can think on scales of thousands of years, generations yet to come. And for us, we may not need to do that, but we could do a small version of that. Could we think about our kids, our grandkids, the generations right in front of us, and how do we leave a world that's good for them? So if you look on a chart like this here is the history of humans here on planet Earth. So not really very many of us. A couple 100,000 years ago, you get the first Homo sapiens, but then it's just hundreds of thousands, millions, and not until the last 200 years did we hit that hockey stick growth curve and go from millions to billions, almost overnight. Right? This is us. And somehow along the way, we had to solve all these hard problems that kept humans from thriving. Right? How do you feed all those people? Give them jobs, give them homes. Eradicate the disease that's killing them off. 400 million people died of smallpox before vaccination was invented. Right? So we have a big challenge. We don't know if it's possible. We've never done this before. We have to figure out how do we invent on that scale, because if there's anything all these extra humans are good for, it's making more problems. So I want to talk about a few of them today. We are all made of stars. That is not just song lyrics. We are literally made of the energy that comes from this star, our sun. All of the energy on Earth comes from the sun, not just the wind and solar, also the oil, the gas, the coal. Actually, the uranium comes from other stars. But basically, all the energy comes from stars. And you are made of energy. Every human on Earth is made of energy. You are what you eat. The energy that feeds the plants that feed you, that's all energy. Average person on Earth gets about as much energy as one toaster. You duct tape down the button, run it for 24 hours. That's all your heating, cooling, travel, food, everything rolled into one. That's the energy budget for an Earthling. But we are not average. Now, I'm going to make fun of Americans because I'm an American, and I know we have some folks from other places that might be running on a few more or a few less toasters. Americans on average get 9 toasters. If you want to understand what's going on in the world, this is what you need to know, right? To get these averages, 3 billion people live on less than 1 toaster, right? Now, I'm probably, in the 20, 30 toaster range. I don't know about you guys. What does it mean? It means that we are lying to ourselves about the true demand for energy on this planet, right? It's not a few percent more than last year. It's at least 10x global energy production. To take care of all those people that we've made in this world, to solve the problems that they have for quality of life, for health, If you want to solve inequality, the problem it comes from energy inequality. And so it sounds unbelievable to 10x global energy production, but we have done it before. In the last century, we 10x global energy production. Now, we did it by burning more coal and oil and gas, and hopefully we learned our lesson. We don't want to 10x those things, which is actually what's kind of the track we're on right now. We want to figure out, can we find something better? Can we find something cleaner? Everything I'm describing is slides that I made up last year, before AI. And if you're following the news, you can see we're in a moment now where the tech industry alone believes they need 10x more energy. Years ago, I helped start this lab. It's here in Seattle, called Intellectual Ventures Lab. We thought we could try to go after some of these big problems by inventing new technologies. So we basically bought one of every tool in the world, hired one of every kind of scientist, tried to put them all on the same team and start inventing. It turns out that's a really weird thing. We live in a world that we think has a big tech industry, but we really just have a big software industry. And all these kinds of problems that we see getting harder and harder and bigger, you won't solve with just software. Energy, water, waste, food, sanitation, construction, all the things every human on Earth relies on, those things remain untouched, largely by Silicon Valley. The opportunity is massive for us to figure out how do we go solve those problems with new technologies in a cleaner, cheaper, faster, more humane way. So one of the things that came out of this lab is a new type of nuclear reactor, and we're going to have a chance to hear about that from the team, from TerraPower that's here. And what's interesting about that is when you look at, this is a way of thinking about energy. All the metals mined in the world last year, pale compared to this one. That's iron we mined to make steel. But look at this, that little pile. That's uranium. In that one pile, there's enough energy to power the entire planet. Just from that. It's staggering how much energy is in uranium. And we don't use it. And the reason we don't use it is because humans are these story-powered creatures. When we get a story in our head, it controls our actions. When I was a kid, we got this story in our heads. We conflated nuclear reactors with nuclear bombs. We outlawed the wrong one. And we're still not being honest with ourselves about the fact that we're living with those consequences. If we had built nuclear reactors, since we were kids, you never would have heard of global warming. So, our job here today is to take these scary stories and stuff them in the trash, come up with some new positive stories about the future for humans and how we solve some of these problems and make the future more awesome.